Welcome traders, it's Chris Chartman here of the Freedom Traders, and I'm going to go over a review of a trade went wrong, and it went terribly wrong for me. It was probably the worst trade I've taken in many months, and there's a couple of reasons for it. So I'm going to go straight into the analysis here. This is the monthly time frame on FTM. FTM is the ticker I tried to trade for a 15-minute oversold bounce. Seeing here in the monthly, we've had monthly consolidation, and after this big pullback, we are looking for the most likely scenario of a monthly lower high versus 3.53 something. And in this case, if we look on the weekly, we've had a weekly downtrend confirm, try and set a higher low. We've set a higher low, and we have now started a strong uptrend without any kind of weekly consolidation. If we look on the daily, we can see it bottomed out here, a little kind of tightening range, held a double bottom, took off on increasing bull volume, set a daily high or low at 2, and moved on to new highs. Now this pivot here, you could call that important level as well on the daily. So that's 236. So we're looking for something to top out here. And if you look in the past, there's clear levels here at around 319, and obvious the top of the entire all-time high. If you're setting yourself up to buy a back burner trade, which is a oversold condition trade, because you moved the you missed the move up, you want to get in for a flip, then the further you get to the recent highs, the more careful you have to be. If you would have scaled in down here into a hourly oversold or 15-minute oversold trade, it's something different than doing it up here. That's the first red flag that I missed. And now if you do a more detailed analysis of this, you would have been looking out for signs of it wedging, but there weren't really any signs on the daily that it's wedging or weakening. It's actually now, looking back, it's actually trending in type of a channel on the daily, kind of like a parallel channel, a little bit, kind of like this, yeah, maybe. So these trend lines are just guides. So you'd go down to the 4-hour for your analysis, and then you say, okay, I want to enter. And I want to enter position. So am I seeing any red flags? You know, is there anything here that could tell me to be careful? And in this case, there's not really any very clear channels or patterns that you could draw, except this upper trend line, which has been rejecting the price for the entire move off of the weekly and monthly high or low. So the rejection is near perfect. Now these trend lines, they're guides, so you can draw them a little bit like that, a little bit like that, but it's just important to show you where the trend is. So the trade that I was trying to undertake was a 15-minute oversold bounce, and what I should have known was that after a big move up, I should be more patient and wait for the first hourly oversold bounce. Because looking on the 15-minute, back testing this, we can see we already had a 15-minute oversold bounce down here. We had a 15-minute oversold bounce here. It got front run a little bit. And so this is the trade area that I tried to trade. And I even attempted a little 5-minute oversold flip, which was also not really on the menu. So what went wrong? Well, literally everything went wrong. And these are the most interesting trades to review. So I'm going to get rid of this trend line. So I'm going to come over here and show you the general market conditions. Bitcoin, at that point in time, you see this blue line. I'm going to go out to a larger time frame. So Bitcoin's hanging on a cliff. Bitcoin's been hanging on a cliff for the last week. And you can see it here on the 12-hour. It's just literally keeps hammering this level. And this is where Bitcoin was. This is also a red flag. If you see Bitcoin continually hammering against the level and trying to hold support and trying to hold support, then you have to be more and more dangerous with these oversold bounce plays, with buying the dip, with buying the higher lows. You just need to reduce size, or you need to wait for the larger time frame oversold bounces, like the hourly oversold. And even in those, you have to be ready for a deeper retracement on the RSI than 30. So that's something I messed up completely. And that SPY down here, and you can see how they're trading very, similarly. See the 12 hour? So anybody who says these markets aren't correlated, Bitcoin's been a lot weaker than SPY, but on the big drops, it still follows. This was a news-based drop. The Fed said that it was probably going to raise rates and start tapering sooner. So market is uncertain at the moment. There's fear in the markets. A lot of macro stuff that I'm not going to go into, and that's not really necessary. But in this case, it would have been good to know that we're dropping on fear. So back to our trade. We now know what Bitcoin's been doing. And let's say you shouldn't have taken that trade in the first place. You should have waited for hourly oversold conditions, which happened around here. But you missed something, and now you're ready to play the 50-minute oversold is what happened to me. So I'll start up here, and I'll start on the 5-minute time frame. Boom, let's go. So 5 minutes chopping around, and I'm getting ready to play the first 5-minute oversold, which might indicate that I'm going to turn on now the RSI levels 50 indicator, which I recommend you use. It's showing you the different levels of RSI here. And so RSI hitting 30 would, in my case, if it drops from here, be around VWAP, which is the green line, and this prior support area. So that's where I'll have my order. I've marked this with a blue kind of line. I'd have an order here and just below VWAP to get that 5-minute oversold flip. Now, I'm very careful still with sizing here because I am aware of a few of these things that I said before. So you see it testing, boom. That was a 5-minute candle. I immediately sold a little bit here, and I put a stop for a partial position under here because I want to stay in the trade in case it does continue up, but in case it goes down like it does now, I want to be out of most. So now 5-minute oversold has touched and it's failing and it is going lower. This means I need to flip to the 15-minute oversold time frame, which I had already anticipated before because I said that 5 and 15-minute oversold are very close together. So that increases the likelihood for me to actually trade this thing. At the moment, I said I will trade a break of 3. So if we look at it on the 5-minute time frame, what happened? It came in and it broke 3 psychological, which is here, just by a tick. So I had orders here for 3 psychological, and I got a big fill here. And immediately as it bounces up, you need to sell. And I did sell some, but I did not sell enough. And that's where I made a big grave trading mistake, because had I sold more, and if I had stayed less greedy, and if I had been more aware that Bitcoin at that point in time at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on that day was right here, just losing its intraday 5-minute levels, I would have known to be more careful. It's right back here. So the thing is with trading, you need to know what's going on in the other correlated markets. And this is right here, 5 o'clock. So we had this EQ, it lost the level, it came down. I knew it was going to come back down to test these levels. I don't want to be oversized as Bitcoin is coming in to test these prior really important levels marked out by this line. But I ignored it and I didn't take off enough. So if I'd taken off a lot here, I would have dropped my average to down here, and I would have freed up a lot of capital. And I could have also taken some, put a stop here, taken a smaller profit and been happy with a smaller gain because of the way the market was looking. But at that point, I was not so aware. And I have to say in my defense that I was sick on that day and I shouldn't have traded in the first place. So in the end, however you toss and turn, it's always your own responsibility. It's always your own, I don't like calling it fault, but it's always your own lack of clear enough rules to follow. So anyway, I got myself trapped. I was oversized in here. I didn't sell enough into this move, and I saw a double top up here. I should have used this as a stronger sell signal, but instead, zooming onto the 1 minute time frame, what I did was I looked for a potential of an inverted head and shoulders here. But because it didn't follow up all the way up to the neckline here, I should have known that the likelihood of a right shoulder forming is lower and the likelihood of an equilibrium is higher. I should not have added to my position in this range because I was already pretty big for this type of trade with Bitcoin hanging at a cliff. So if I had taken more profits here and then trailed some stops up here and locked in whatever I had and kept the stop for the remainder or even half of the remainder under here, I would have been ready to go for the next leg down. And now let's go on the 1 minute to chart replay. Let's go. So here we can see, bam, and I added some in here, which was a mistake. I added some, thereby raising my average and putting on too big a position in this range. I now thought, oh, we might just fake down into this range and I'll buy some more in here. And now it's starting to be after 5 o'clock and there's quite intense selling. And I started averaging down because I still had this order block, this green marked area down to the low 96s marked out as an important level, which you can see historically is a very important level. I'm now going to take off RSI 50 levels indicator and I'm going to switch back to the 15 minute, which is showing us that the 15 minute just touched RSI and there was still for me a high chance that, yeah, we might bounce. It's 15 minute oversold. But just the point that it's not bouncing, it's not bouncing. That should have been another red flag for me. But because I'd taken on too much size up here and I did not stop out of it a partial, but instead I laddered lower, I was starting to become really, really big. And what I was waiting for and hoping, and that's what you don't want to be hoping, I was hoping, which is a beginner's mistake. I was out of form. I was not in the zone. I was feeling just at 40% of my mental capacity. I was oversized. I had my back to the wall. I felt trapped. So all the negative things that a trader can go through, I was going through at this point, and I was already on too much size. And here we go. I waited for an opportunity to unload a little bit, That opportunity didn't come. I had to make a decision that I would not add any more capital to my trade. By now, let's stop right here. By now, I had decided that I would wait this out because it went, literally my chance would have been to get out here and to get out here and take a pretty decent day maker loss, not a small loss, but then be fresh. I could have been fresh. I could have been fresh to buy this low. But instead, I was laddering down like a very, very, very bad trader. I'm not going to call myself any names here because mistakes do happen. So anyway, I knew or I anticipated that a break of this level would eventually lead to some sort of bounce. And now the only goal I have on any kind of bounce is to get the hell out of Dodge at the smallest possible loss, which means I was watching it come up here and boom. Now this happened so quickly, not as fast as here in the chart review, but up here, and my average was in here. I already started selling here into this EMA. So my average kept moving up, but my position started getting smaller. And I had sell orders here, sell orders, all laddered around because I didn't know exactly how far would the move go. And I had stops that I was pulling in here, partial stops, and I was moving them up with my position. And that's the way how I managed to de-risk my position. And in the end, I'm very glad I took a loss. I took a day maker, a bit more than a day maker loss. So the day and the day before, my work was literally annihilated. But I could have annihilated a lot more by selling this bottom. I could have protected myself by taking this loss up here, a similar amount, even a smaller amount, and then being ready for this. But the problem is that you never really know, because it might then bounce without you and you think, oh no, I sold the bottom. But looking back, it's a bear flag after a flag. And then at this point, at 1815, the world was, we had lost these levels. We started testing. We were heading towards these lows on high volume. Then the bulls defended this level, and that was at 1915. And so that must have been one of these bounces here. Here, maybe this. Still something in my. Yeah, see, this is this little bounce here. So all hell broke loose on FTM, and I was trapped. And I got out here for a loss. And now let's look what happened after. Because once you gotten out, you think, oh no, it's going up further. Why did I get out? Oh, well, let's take a look. Let's slow down the speed a little bit. And here she goes. Here she goes. Here she goes. And now the next real opportunity on this trade is 1 hour oversold. That's why I'm switching to the hourly time frame. You can see the hourly RSI is almost oversold. It's lost these supports. It's coming in. It's moving in. And this played out over the next hour. Speed it up. Speed it up. And boom. Now look at that. That would have been the trade played off of support that you want to have a clear mind for, be all cash for, not come out of it with a negative emotion from an oversized, lower probability trade on the 50-minute time frame. And this one you could have sized up, and that literally gave you a huge percentage gain of the entire range being around 15%. And if you'd done it correctly, you would have milked it for 7-8% with decent size, because this was the higher probability trade. Anyway, so that's what happened. This is my review of a 15-minute oversold bounce gone wrong in Phantom on the 5th of January 2022. Please like and subscribe and give me your comments. I think showing our losing trades and our not so good trades, it benefits ourselves the most and everyone else. An African proverb says that you learn more from your losers than you do from your winners. Have a great day. Bye-bye.